Hi folks, Dr. Miller here, welcoming you to our Week 5 mini lecture video at BA325. This week we look at Chapter 9, Startup Capital Requirements. We discuss how entrepreneurs acquire the resources they need to launch a business and explain the role of some financial assumptions. We understand that the bottom line for any new venture is cash, paying the bills, enabling the firm to grow. First, the feasibility stage, we need a financial picture of the firm supported by real-world data. Secondly, investors will confirm that the most important are the assumptions behind the numbers. Understand that no set of financial projections survives first contacts with customers. Welcome our course mascot on my lap again. Startup resources include people, the founding team, physical assets including equipment and inventory, financial resources including the cash, equity, and debt, and intellectual resources, certainly including our brand, our patents, our education. Decisions about the resources generally relate to our value proposition, our distribution channel, our customer relationships, and revenue generation. There are steps for calculating our startup capital requirements. Process map includes a value chain, time to launch, financial assumptions, key financial metrics, and startup cash requirements. We call the four categories of resources include human, intellectual, financial, and physical. To identify accurately the resources required, we must know exactly how the business works. Beginning at the front door and ask, who does the business in this work? Where do these people work? What they need to do their work? What information is being generated, and where does that information go? Position the venture in the value chain. Where your new venture lies in the value chain will determine what its margins are, who its customers are, and how much it can charge for its products and services. Remember that a business delivers its service directly to a customer, but product businesses are different. Define your launch strategy to reduce your risk is one of the things I recommend. You want to identify as many potential risks as possible and eliminate the right ones. Risks are the unknowns, the knowns, and the unknown unknowns. These are the deal killers, the low-hanging fruit with high return on investment. What are your startup financial metrics? Are there any specific metrics such as customer acquisition costs or qualified leads? What are your financial assumptions? The most important part of any analysis of financial feasibility is the assumptions on which the analysis is based. What is your estimate of new product demand? To estimate demand, use historical analogy or substitute products. Talk to customers and intermediaries. Entrepreneurs typically have to price their products long before they know the exact cost of producing it and before they have a good handle on the price the customer will pay. Pricing becomes a central selling point when the product or service is a commodity. When the only feature differentiating the product or service from those offered by competitors is price. Entrepreneurs typically set prices based on the cost to produce plus a margin. Remember that every industry has discounts, including cash and quality discounts. Other factors to consider in addition to cost are based in part on a company's goals. For example, if the goal is to increase sales or market share, prices may need to be lowered to increase the volume sold. If the goal is to maximize cash flow, raising prices and reducing costs and overhead may be the answer. In terms of pricing assumptions, there are no formulas that will give you a new venture with no track record a solution to the problem of pricing, and firms will discuss it. But by triangulating with costs, competitive pricing, and feedback from customers and value chain partners, you can reach a number that can be tested in the market. Estimate your revenues, expenses, and startup costs. Estimate your sales forecast, your expenses. Sales forecast should be calculated first because the volume of sales directly affects expenses. Expense forecasting for manufacturing can become complex because the cost of goods sold must first be derived. Keeping the numbers real is important because they will be challenged and must be defended. In terms of calculating a startup's cash requirements, it's a difficult thing to do, but it must be estimated. So if the estimate is just an estimate, entrepreneurs typically need to add a safety margin. My estimate is 20% more than you think you need. Ask yourself what would be, in terms of the risks, what would be the effect on the financials of a change in price, a decline in sales, or unexpected demand? Ask other analytical questions. Consider potential changes most likely to happen. Keep checking on your assumptions. Determine the startup metrics for your company. Gather the numbers you need for performing your analysis. Gather your sales forecast through data triangulation, and create a financial cash flow statement from startup until a positive cash flow is achieved. Most importantly, determine whether your venture is financially feasible based upon your analysis. Hope some of these ideas are useful and helpful to you. It's been my pleasure to speak with you this morning.